Well, what's happening in Pennsylvania? I spoke to Isha Sarai of Voice of America a while back.
Thank you for having me, Anjali. Yes, as you said, Pennsylvania is one of the key states in this election, but also has been one of the slower states to count all of its ballots. With the mail-in and absentee ballot process underway, it's taking as long as Pennsylvania electors expected. Election officials said the week before the election that it could be until Friday before we know the results of this election. So this isn't unexpected. The president has sowed some distrust in the mail-in process for weeks, perhaps even months before the election took place. Today was another day of legal battles. The Trump administration wanted to send in people from his administration to monitor the vote counting, but the city of Philadelphia denied that request. So outside the convention center today in Philadelphia, where most votes are being counted, there are counter rallies taking place. We have Trump supporters on one side who are urging to be let in to monitor the vote counting. And there are people on the other side who are saying that every vote needs to be counted and that they're willing to wait for the full count to come in.
All right. Also, now we are seeing that President hopeful Joe Biden also tweeted saying that this might go to the court and that we need your help. He has actually started fundraising for the legal battle. Do you foresee a massive legal battle in the state as well?
It's hard to say. What we can say is that legal battles that have been raised to the Supreme Court around the mail-in voting process, generally the Supreme Court has upheld the lower ruling. So generally the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of counting mail-in ballots. For instance, in Pennsylvania, a recent Supreme Court case ruled that as long as mail-in ballots were mailed by Election Day, were postmarked by Election Day, they could be counted if they were received up to 3 days after the election. So historically, in the past few weeks, the Supreme Court has upheld these decisions, but it's difficult to predict what's going to happen in the courts in the coming week.
All right. Also, these mail-in ballots, for the ease of Indian viewers, if you could explain to us why are we seeing so many mail-in ballots this year, and what is the problem that Donald Trump has with these mail-in ballots, obviously up front, and also what could be the underlying reason that you think he has such a huge problem with them?
So mail-in ballots are not necessarily new in the U.S. election. There are states like Oregon, which have always conducted almost all of their voting through mail-in ballots. However, obviously, because the coronavirus pandemic is rampant in the U.S., the electors were anticipating fewer people would be willing to go to the polls in person, go inside on Election Day with multiple people. So efforts to raise awareness about how the mail-in voting process works have been underway for months. The increase in mail-in ballots can be attributed to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, generally speaking, mail-in ballots tend to be more democratic. In this election, that's because, as we discussed earlier, President Trump has sowed some distrust in the mail-in voting. So Republicans, his supporters, are more likely to show up to the polls in person. And this could potentially be seen as a reason that the president is less willing to count mail-in votes that are coming in. In addition, another big part of the population that tends to lean more blue, more democratic, is a younger population. These are people who are out at college, who are registered to vote in their home states while they may be studying in another state. So it's very common that younger folks who, like I said, are more likely to vote blue will be sending in their mail-in ballots instead of voting in person.
All right, back to Pennsylvania, the key state right now, and all eyes are on Pennsylvania. You know, in 2016 also, Trump got a very minor kind of victory over there. It was a very razor-thin majority that he got over there. So do you think this time it's even more worrying for him, because he knows that last time it was a very closely fought battle?
It's very difficult to say this early in vote counting in Pennsylvania. Like you said, it was a very small margin that he won by in 2016. And it's worth noting that 2016 was the first time that the state of Pennsylvania voted for a Republican president since the 1980s. So Pennsylvania is really, a closely watched state in this election, but historically, it has not really been a swing state. Historically, in the past few decades, it has been pretty reliably Democratic. What I can tell you is that cities like Pennsylvania and like Pittsburgh generally tend to vote Democratic, but there's a large swath of rural area in the middle of the state, which in 2016 2016 went for Donald Trump. For instance, on Election Day, I drove just 30 minutes north of Pennsylvania to Bucks County, where President Trump held a rally on Saturday before the election. And voters there are certainly, speaking more about the economy. They say that the economy is their top priority, and that's why they will be voting for President Trump. So as votes continue to be counted, it's still really too early to tell who is going to win and how close the election will be here.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Aisha, for speaking with NDTV.
Thank you, Anjali.